More Challenger parts. So finally, took about 2 months for these to finally come in. These are from TNA Customs. They're the bag lids with the matching hinge covers. He also throws in one of these fairly rare Indian cigars. So I got it in the gloss black option. These are crazy light. Already comes with the seal installed, so this should be a fairly straightforward installation. He is making a set for the bikes that have the speakers in here. They're not out yet. Obviously, I don't have the speakers, and I don't intend on putting any in, so it doesn't matter. But it's going to be a fairly straightforward installation. We'll get to it. Alright, so bag lid's off. You will need a 6mm, 5mm, and a 4mm Allen to get these off. To remove the bag, first do is you come in through here, you take that Allen key off, it takes this hinge off, and then you have these Allens here, and you have to loosen this one, and then the whole bag assembly just comes right off. As for the bag lid itself, to take the lock assembly off, there's 2 Allen keys here, and then this piece pops off here, and the key comes out. There's a little grommet that sits in here. You just take that rubber grommet and pop it right out. For the actual hinge back here, it's just these four Allen keys here, and then you can transfer the hinge. Looking at the 2 different lids side by side, we can no longer use this little strap because there's no provisions in here for this to strap them onto. So I might try and figure something out where I might drill into here or attach something to this so I can attach onto here. That'll be a different day project. As far as weights go, so this is completely stripped down. There's nothing on here, and it's still fairly hefty. With all the gear, the hinges and everything on here, this one's still lighter than this naked lid. So that's pretty cool. So we're gonna throw this back on the bike and see if we run into any issues. All right, we're mounted to the bike. So even my wife came out here, I had her feel this one, and obviously come over here to feel this one. It is crazy how light this is. Again, it doesn't have that strap, so you just have to be careful when you're flopping it open. So I might do something here. It's another day. But yep, same stuff. You just put the hinge here, you have these 4 bolts here, and put your hinge cover here and here. Don't install the screw and tighten it all the way until you have both these screws in, and then evenly tighten them. Same thing with this hinge. Still fits like it should. First click, second click. Everything lines up the way it should. He has his weave. The weaves are the same, going all the way down through. See what it looks like in sunlight. This is ever so slightly a shade less dark than the fender from I think it's DTF Carbon. That's who this fender came from, and that front dash piece. TNA does make these fenders. With his fenders, you can get them pre-drilled or not pre-drilled. Like if you saw my other video where I had to drill all the holes for mounting things. He does make a fender that also comes pre-drilled. If you don't want to do this type of plate bracket and you want to keep everything factory here, that's all pre-drilled too. And he does different weaves. He has one that's straight up and down, or he has this style weave. But he makes a rear fender, that front dash piece, and then I think 2 different types of carbon front fenders. He has the full fender where you can still run the headdress in carbon, as well as a little short fender. Obviously I have the FTR fender because FTRs. But between this fender, these bag lids, that piece, the front fender and everything, this just shaved off quite a bit of weight off this bike. And of course with the exhaust floorboards, which some of that negates it when I installed these heavier bars, but safety. Also, you'll notice that I got this big boy. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet. So here it's fairly wide here, and it actually lifts you up 1 inch over my Slim Syndicate seat, which if you remember from my other videos when I went down to South Carolina, wasn't the most comfortable thing to use. But this seat, it sits you nice and low in the back, and it's very narrow here, and these kind of come up here. So for shorter guys, your thighs aren't spread out as much. So with this seat on this bike, I can 100% flat foot wearing just riding shoes. But with this, I'm not completely flat foot, but I'm not on my tiptoes either. So I'm still up in the air if I'm going to sell the other seat or sell this one. As far as being comfort, the gel on this thing is actually pretty nice, as well as the back support when you're getting on it. So I'm still up in the air with this thing. But we'll get back to selling that bag. All right, to remove this, obviously I don't have the electronic ones. You just basically loosen these two things. This pulls straight up, and under here, this pulls straight down. Then you have your locking mechanism here that just pops right through. And then you have this rubber grommet here. You kind of just pop right out, just transfer it right there. Boom, done. Also, if you do have the electronic locks, here is the provisions for the wire to run through to come over here. Obviously, this doesn't have that. So what you can do is, if you looked at when I installed my carbon fiber fender, it didn't have any provisions for the wiring either. So what I did was I went and bought 3M sticky zip tie little cubes. You can basically just stick them wherever you want. You run your wires and then you just loop it around with a zip tie. I did that to that fender, I don't know how many months ago and how many thousand miles ago. I checked on the wiring when I got back from my last trip, and it hasn't moved, so it's a good option. But if you have a base model like me, don't have to worry about it. All right, to remove this, obviously I don't have the electronic ones. You just basically loosen these two things. This pulls straight up, and under here, this pulls straight down. Then you have your locking mechanism here that just pops right through. And then you have this rubber grommet here. You kind of just pop right out, just transfer it right there. Boom, done. Also, if you do have the electronic locks, here is the provisions for the wire to run through to come over here. Obviously, this doesn't have that. So what you can do is, if you looked at when I installed my carbon fiber fender, it didn't have any provisions for the wiring either. So what I did was I went and bought 3M sticky zip tie little cubes. You can basically just stick them wherever you want. You run your wires and then you just loop it around with a zip tie. I did that to that fender, I don't know how many months ago and how many thousand miles ago. I checked on the wiring when I got back from my last trip, and it hasn't moved, so it's a good option. But if you have a base model like me, don't have to worry about it. Okay, so they're both on. They did have a little bit of overspray on them, which is typical for a composite shop or whatever, paint shop. So all I did was I took clay barred them real quick, and then hit them with a quick little bit of ultimate compound, and got them all smoothed out. And now what I'm doing is I'm applying some glossy graphene coating. I don't have any more little things, so I just cut up this microfiber. So just nice even coats all over it. I did the rear fender and the rest of the bike and this stuff shortly after I got it, and water still beads off of it, and bugs don't really stick to it. So yeah, we're just going to go over here like this, get it all nice and even, let it sit for probably about 5 minutes with the temperature today, and then rub it off, let it sit for an hour or so, and then put on one more coat, and then our bag should be good, just in time for my wife to scratch the lid when she slings her leg over. This is all done too. You can do the matte finish. Bugs really don't stick to it, water doesn't stick to it. Makes cleanup really easy, and it doesn't change. It makes it a little bit deeper, but it doesn't change like the glossiness or anything of the matte finish. Alright, and there we have it. So after it sits for about 5 or so minutes, the kits come with this gloss enhancing spray. You just kind of mist it, then use a microfiber cloth, wipe it down nice and even, and then flip the cloth to its dry side and buff it off. I probably won't put another coat on these. Doesn't really need it. So let it sit. You just can't get it wet for 10 days, of which it's pouring, so it's going to be safe in the garage for a while. Well, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Can't wait to see what it looks like in the sunlight. Hopefully, it should be a little sunny tomorrow. As far as taking things off or making things lighter, I don't think I covered this in the video. So what I did here was just bought another one of these brackets so that way I could keep my other one, so I can throw the cover back on when I sell the bike, if I sell it. So what I did was I just took and just cut off all the excess metal that held the ignition cover on, and it also, so the cover kind of had these little things where the coils would hold down. So what I did was just safety wired these down here so my plug wires stay connected to my coils, which even some people have had issues of these coming loose and causing misfire codes even with the cover on. So this is something extra you can do to help prevent misfire codes. The TNA does make a carbon cover for this, but this is kind of more racy feeling looking, and this is virtually free mod to drop maybe 5 pounds or so. He also makes a carbon cover for this piece too. I'll probably end up buying it eventually, but for now just the black cover is fine for me. So, and then with the lightweight floorboards, yeah, everything. I don't think this can get much lighter. It is the base, so it has the smaller stereo system in it, so that's not an issue. Not too many more things I can take off of it right now. So overall, I'm still pretty happy with it. And I don't think there's anything else to cover in this video. Guys, like, subscribe if you want any more videos like this. I'll probably do an update video on my FTR with these lovely tires, getting some heat in them. Other than that, have a good weekend, guys.